guys? Rob here from the Lounge Life Podcast. Welcome back. The Lounge Life Podcast is where cigars, spirits, and great conversation come together. I'm one of your hosts, Rob, and that over there, that's Al. Say hi, Al.
What's going on, everybody?
And we are back with our second episode for Women's History Month. So this month we're doing something kind of special, kind of like how we did last year with the Men's Mental Health Month, where we had a men's mental health professional or topic every once a week for the entire month of June. This month being March and Women's History Month, we have decided to bring on some amazing women in the cigar and spirits field. We've already last week we were able to have on Lisette Carrillo from Casa Carrillo, and this week you're just gonna have to wait and see who we're getting. But I promise you, you will not be disappointed. But there's a little hint if you can see. And so we are going to be joined by never mind. We'll wait for that. So before that, we want you to go on our pages. We want you to like, subscribe to our show, go on our Instagram pages, like our Instagram pages. We have our tags down there below us. Go find us on Instagram. Go find our page, at Lounge Life Podcast on Instagram. Go find us on YouTube. If you like watching videos, go find us on YouTube, the Lounge Life Podcast. Go find us on our audio only podcast distribution, which is Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. You won't be disappointed, and neither will they. I promise you. And before we get into the rest of the show, let us first say thank you to our show partners, because without them, we wouldn't have such amazing show support. So we are going to say first a very giant thank you to our greatest and first show sponsor, Valor Cigar Accessories, uh, made in America, out of Texas. 10% of all their sales go back to first responder, and military uh, foundations. They make cutters. They have something in the works that we can't reveal yet, but I'm sure you guys will be super excited about it. Um,
Three finger cigar cases.
the three finger cigar cases. Yep. And yeah, we also want to say thank you to Heavy Eight, which is our lighter company. These guys are from the neighbors to the north. Thank you so much, guys. I mean, they have one of the coolest design lighters. I mean, if you see here, you just look on the side, you have one flame to light it up and another flame to touch it up. So you have a soft and a torch in one lighter. You can't even ask
Yeah.
for more, honestly.
No. And for our folks that smoke a pipe and cigars, you only need one lighter. You don't have to go put your torch away to find
Hmm.
your soft flame to light your pipe.
Yep. And then we also want to say thank you to our uh the reason why my beard looks so fucking amazing is our beard care sponsor, which is, there we go, Badass Beard Care. This is their quarterly special scent, which is called 0 Hour. Honestly, it's sandalwood, it's tobacco, which we talk about and love, and it's bourbon, which we talk about and love. And so, honestly, we couldn't even ask for a better scent. So, Badass Beard Care, go check them out, badassbeardcare.com. Don't fear the beard.
Tame your man mane.
And we want to say thank you one more to our audio sponsor, who is the microphone that Al's got right over there. I'm inside, so I don't have my microphone set up, but they gave us microphones. They gave us our in ear monitors. That is Rock Audio USA. So thank you, Rock Audio, for sending over the amazing audio equipment for us to sound the best we absolutely could. I mean, I sound like garbage, but Rock Audio just makes it 1,000 times better. I don't know how it works. It's magic. Um,
And
so,
also, it provides a great visual effect here
oh, there
too.
you go. Look at RGB. Everybody loves RGB. So, let's get the show kicked off. We might as well announce who's on. Today, we are going to be talking to none other than Whiskey Magazine's first ever woman Hall of Fame inductee. That is the master distiller for Milam Greene Whiskey, Ms. Marlene Holmes. They have been so gracious enough to send over a bottle for us to not only interview Ms. Holmes, but she is going to lead us in a tasting of their very small batch, which we will explain in the future what that is.
Mhm.
But for right now, you just got to kind of wait. So stay to the end to catch Marlene. Um, but right now, we have to get into our programming so we can get to Marlene. We don't want to keep her waiting. And we're going to start the night off with the rapper report. Yes? I
Yes.
don't even know anymore. It's been such a long day. Jeez.
And the
So,
Rapper Report is brought to you by Valor Cigar Accessories.
Valor Cigar Accessories, guys. We are starting with rapper report. It is, I am so shot out today. So, Al, what did you come up with for the rapper report? What struck you in this news cycle, good or bad?
Good. The Founders Cigar Company is celebrating their fifth anniversary with a cigar called Declaration.
Okay.
So this year marks the Founders Cigar Company's fifth year in business, and the company is releasing its strongest blend so far to commemorate the occasion. The Declaration is a 5.5 by 43 Corona Vitola made with Pennsylvania broadleaf wrapper, Ecuadorian Habano binder, and filler blend of Nicaraguan Criollo 98, Ligero, and Seco tobaccos.
Okay.
The cigars are being produced at Tabacalera Las Lavas, SRL in Dominican Republic. Each cigar has an MSRP of 1376 and production is limited to 250 boxes of 25. So, the Declaration of Independence was one of the boldest statements ever made. So, when the colonies declared independence from Great Britain in 1776, they were making a clear and unwavering statement about who they were and what they believed. In many ways, this cigar represents Founder's own declaration as a company. So, um, the broadleaf wrapper was selected in part because Pennsylvania,
Okay.
specifically the city of Philadelphia, was where the delegates in the Continental Congress signed the Declaration of Independence. So, boxes of Declaration are scheduled to begin shipping to retailers during the 2026 PCA convention and trade show.
Which, by the way, is coming up super shortly.
We are
I
one
mean,
month away.
we are just over a month away. So we are super looking forward to it.
Yes. So, what's caught your attention here lately?
So Drew Estate is back in the news again, for good reason this time. So they've decided to earlier this month. They decided that they were going to announce the retirement of their freestyle live program. So I don't know if you guys pay attention to Drew Estate or whatever, but freestyle live was Drew Estate's way of kind of over the last 2 years. I believe it started in 2024, early 2024. Um, it was kind of Drew Estate's way of revealing new blends to the marketplace, where they would sell these kits with, extra goodies in it,
Mhm.
usually like cutters, lighters. Some of them had cigar cases. Some of them had torch lighters. Some of them had soft lighters. Some of them had hard cigar cases, soft cigar
Yeah.
cases. The one we just got had like a big giant, like 40-ounce like tumbler, which is fantastic because I love these things. But it always had something, and there was always like three or four cigars in this pack that would be mystery banded, and you would smoke it, they would get the feedback, and then at a later date they would do a live reveal as to what this blend was going to be. So Drew Estate has retired that in favor of a similar style program, but not exactly the same style. So it's called Early Access, and it comes in a white box. We've already seen this, the pictures.
Hmm.
And it's going to be replacing the Freestyle Live experience. And basically, they're revealing two major blends. So inside the box is two cigars. They both, looking at the pictures, they look both like 6x52 or 6x54 Toros. One is just like a round Parejo format. The other one, I believe the Fire, which is red band. So they're codenamed Fire and Water. There's a red band and a blue band. Fire looks like a 6x52 soft box press, and Water looks like a 6x52 or 6x54 round Parejo. Um, and it's going to basically reveal the two major blends for 2026 that they're going to be introducing. Um, Also to celebrate the company's 30th year in business, which I think is fantastic at this point. Drew Estate says, in addition to getting these free cigars, you're going to get access to $20,000 in cash plus $50,000 in total prizes. Entry is free and opens on March 10th, which at this recording it is already past March 10th, so you should be entering at this point if you don't already know.
Yeah.
And they're going to be a there will be a early access live Facebook and YouTube broadcast Tuesday, April 14th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is 3 days before the kickoff of PCA, where at that point you will find out at PCA what these two new blends are, is what they're saying. We will reveal to the world at PCA. So you're just over a month away from the reveal of these two new blends. The kits in question, they're $12 MSRP, but the value of the cigars inside is said to be over $25, obviously. There's going to be 10,000 kits available. Each kit contains a QR code that's going to bring you to the sweepstakes page where five prizes will be awarded. First prize, $20,000 in cash. Second prize, you're going to get one of those limited edition Liga Privada slash ST DuPont humidor sets with the
Mm.
cutter and lighter, valued at $4,000. Third prize is going to be two tickets to one of the Drew Estate experience events throughout the year, which is either the Barn Smoker, the family reunion, or a new to be announced experiential event with hotel accommodations. And three of those are going to be made available, each valued at $1,500 a piece. Fourth prize is going to be a 70-inch television. Five of those are going to be given away at a value of $700 a piece. And fifth prize is going to be a choice of a grill, an outdoor fireplace, or a smartwatch. Five of those will be awarded, with each valued at $500. Um, Again, I said, while not yet confirmed, it's believed that these cigars will be unveiled during 2026 PCA trade show and convention in New Orleans from the 17th to the 20th. They have it incorrectly marked the 18th to the 20th, but the 17th to the 20th is when PCA
Yes.
actually takes place. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. I kind of like how they're still kind of doing the same format, but a little, a little tweak. But
Yeah.
but yeah.
Well, I was always intrigued by the swag that came with it.
Oh, I love it all the time. I mean, I use it all the time. Well, like the year before, so the early one last year was like a big snappy cigar case. This
Yeah.
past one, this past one was the tumbler, like the Stanley style tumbler.
Yeah.
Um, the one before that, I think was it
The,
was the ashtray. There was
the
a big giant,
ashtray,
the big
and
giant ashtray. Really
yeah,
nice
with a
one.
lighter and a cutter.
Yep, with a lighter and a cutter. And then the one before that, I believe, was a
I think it was
I
a
don't
cigar
remember what.
case with a Ridge wallet and
Well, that was before that one. The one before the that one was the
oh
I think it just came with a stick torch light. It was a
the
stick torch
stick
lighter
torch.
and
Yeah.
like a little key fob thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, they kind of gave away all kinds of cool swag with these freestyle lives. So I kind of um but what they're doing is so you're not getting all the swag with these packs basically. um
Yeah.
it sucks because Drew Estate has some of the best swag in the business, honestly. I mean, we talk about crown heads and their hats all day long, but honestly, when it comes to swag, Drew Estate literally is king. I mean, they've made so many things. If you go online, you can find stuff from watch rolls to uh ashtrays to, I mean, I think the
Shoulder
new one,
bags
yeah,
to the spray can
the
lighters.
spray can lighters, the hard sided um cigar cases, like the zip
Yeah.
cases, actual leather zip cases. And then they've been giving these away, which are the the combo,
Yep.
the cutter lighter boxes. Um and
They've had the crossbody bags
the crossbody bag is fantastic.
with a bandana
Oh, it's
and
all kinds
I
of stuff.
mean just all
Eh,
kind of cool
and
swag.
honestly, like, and even cooler, like the new stuff for Deadwood, for Dominicana. If you saw the new one that just came out for their new events, the Dominicana stuff, it's like one of them is like a ceramic, like, cigar urn where you can put cigars
Yes.
in and just like put the top back on. It's gorgeous. And then also the I think it's Zcar makes the circle, makes the rounded XO cutter,
Yeah.
and it's got the Deadwood girl on it. So I mean, it's cool. I mean, like I said, I'm a little disappointed that they're not giving the swag away, but it looks like they're upping their swag for the events.
Yes.
So I thought it
Yes.
was, kind of neat, but you know, I'm sure I'm sure me and Al are gonna come home with all kinds of swag from PCA. So you know,
Fingers crossed. Fingers
keep my
crossed.
fingers crossed. Yeah. But yeah, so that this has been what's in the ashtray. Nope, it wasn't what's in the ashtray.
Nope. It was the
This has
rapper
been
report.
the Rapper Report, which is brought to you by Valor
Valor
Cigar
cigar
Accessories.
accessories.
Next, we will be heading into what's in the ashtray. So, Al, tell me something good or bad you smoked recently. What's sticking out in your mind?
Well, I had it's a boutique brand, um, a a veteran owned company, but they don't want that to be the leading story. They want their cigars to speak for themselves. It's a brand called HDA, um, Hermanos de Arms. Armas, Brothers in Arms. Um, and I had their Cataclysm.
Okay.
So, and I believe the Cataclysm is the lighter of their three blends in their core line. Um, it was just a great smoke. Hit all the hit all the notes.
Yeah.
Quality was excellent. Of course, um, they're made in the uh, James Brown
Talking about Oveja Negra.
Oveja Negra. Yeah,
Yeah.
and sorry, just kind of drew a blank
You're
there.
good.
So, but it was a fantastic cigar, and again, it is a veteran-owned company,
Yeah.
but the cigars they stand on their own merit for sure.
Nice.
So, what has struck you lately?
So I've been kind of smoking all over the place with brands, with wrappers and fillers and all that kind of stuff. And recently, one just stuck out to me because I hadn't been able to try this until just recently because I just haven't been able to get a hold of it. And that's the Tatuaje Boris Karloff, the 2025 edition. They
Yeah.
did one last year, which was a black box, which is 2024 edition. 2025 edition comes in a white box. Of course, Tatuaje, this one is produced at My Father Factory, which we all know my father just never misses usually. Um, and only 2,000 boxes are produced. Um, and I believe it's a box of 20. So you're looking at super uber. I mean, for Tatuaje, like craft cigar, or
Hmm.
boutique, I should say, the biggest little boutique brand
Right.
in the market right now. Because when they say boutique, small for them is 40,000 cigars. So, I mean, that's pretty small. Um, but it was actually really, really good. I was actually pretty surprised. It wasn't punchier. It
Hmm.
really is really nice. It's a 5 1/4 by 52. It's got a closed foot on it, which I really love because when you light it up, you get that really. You don't toast the foot on the closed foot. You don't toast the foot.
Right.
Ugh. You don't toast the foot on a closed foot cigar because you put it in and then you just draw through and light the end right away so you get that really nice blast of the wrapper to start the cigar with. It's got
Yeah.
an extra Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper. um, it's sweet and spicy. It has a really nice room note. You get a really nice early black pepper and earthy notes mixed with layered notes of like a dark cocoa powder, cedar, a really nice dark espresso, and toasted nut. And then as the cigar finishes out, you get a really nice subtle leather note that comes through underneath everything that kind of rounds out the profile, but it doesn't dominate it. Like, because I know sometimes that leather note can dominate cigars once it starts coming into that profile, but the
Yeah.
leather kind of sits underneath everything and kind of gives it that nice little zhuzh. If you get my drift, the
Right.
zhuzh. Um, but like I said, it's my father, so great construction, great draw. um and we know kind of everything that comes from my father's like that. So I really
Yeah.
did enjoy this cigar, and I'm glad I have two or three more to enjoy before I can say they are no more. So yeah, so that's kind of what stuck out to me with my cigars lately.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, and you know, we do have an episode that will air with HDA
Oh
here
yeah,
next
we have
month.
Zach. Yeah, we have Zach coming on in April. He was able to sit down and talk with us. We've already taped it, so it's kind of sitting in the can for us, and we're going to be able to release it after our Women's History Month. So unfortunately, we didn't get to hang out with Andre, but Zach was definitely gracious enough to kind of sit down with us and hang out and talk more than uh more than what we thought. We normally ask our interviewees for 30 minutes tops. Sometimes they give us 45. I'm okay with that. But
Yeah.
I believe Andre sat down with us for like
Yeah. Zach was.
almost Zach, yeah. Zach
Yeah.
sat down with us for like an hour 15 minutes. He just,
Yeah.
I mean, it was fantastic. So be on the lookout for that episode. But right now,
Oh, wait. B-
what did I forget?
before we roll on, don't
Oh, what?
forget our swag.
Oh, geez. I don't have my swag on, but
Uh,
look
yes,
at that. But
that
yeah,
is
we
for
have
sure.
guys go to our shop and look at all the swag we're dropping. Like we literally just dropped the Lounge Life Podcast X Bass Pro hat, which is going to be made in limited supply. So go check that out. $35 a hat, I believe.
Yes,
Um,
shipped.
we have Lounge Life podcast stuff. We have Howlin' Big with Big Al stuff. We got
Yes.
Sticks at the Shore stuff. We got all kinds of newly designed merch coming out. Like, I mean, honestly, guys, it's cool. We kind of are doing the whole uh crown heads thing where we're kind of riffing on brands. Like if you look at this, what does that look like? And if
Yeah.
you look at Al's shirt over here, we got Al's shirt going on. And we got Saved by the Bell. We got um
I mean,
I don't think we put up the Stranger Things one, but we
no,
got
no.
the Bass Pro hat. We got the Bullet Club style. If you're a wrestler fan, we got that one. Um
Yeah. So we've got,
we got
and we've got
we got
more to come.
more to come, guys. Honestly, more to come. Stay tuned. Go support
So
us because we do this for nothing. Honestly, give us a
we
little bit of
we
love.
we enjoy it, and we hope you enjoy it as much as we enjoy bringing it to you.
Absolutely. But yeah. So go check us out and again, mash those buttons.
Yes.
Go and support our pages. We don't get paid for this, so
No,
to keep you bringing excellent shit, we have to put out excellent shit. So go get
that's
it.
right. So
Um,
now, ding ding.
it is the main event time. We have Marlene Holmes coming on for Milam Greene Whiskey. And we are now at the main event, guys. We are so honored to be joined by Marlene Holmes, master distiller for Milam Greene Whiskey. In 2025, Marlene made history when she was inducted into the Whiskey Magazine Hall of Fame, becoming the first woman ever to receive that honor. So please help me welcome to the stage Marlene Holmes. Marlene, thank you. Welcome to the show, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, well, it's good to see you, Rob. Thanks for having me.
Thank
Uh,
you for joining us. We are going through this month. We are talking to pioneers in the uh, field of spirits and cigars, and this is Women's History Month. So we figured we would bring you on just to. I've met you previously at a tasting, and I thought you would be perfect. A perfect fit for this month and what we're celebrating. So thank you for joining us.
well, you're welcome. Again, thank you so much for the invite. I always look forward to chatting with people about Milam Green Whiskey and who we are and how we do things. And, I got to tell you, you guys picked a great one to talk about tonight. Our very small batch, it's perfect with a cigar. And, well, it's just perfect. It's just perfect, period. So, but yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, guys, we are not only going to be able to talk to Marlene today, but we got a super extra special treat. Milam Green was so very generous in being able to send us over something to taste tonight. So, Marlene is actually going to be able to lead us in
Hey,
a guided tasting with the very small batch. So, we're looking forward to that. So something special, guys. If you find it on the shelf, try it. I've already had it once, so I'm really super looking forward to it. So Marlene, so let's start off something super easy. What first sparked your interest in whiskey and distillation? When did you like get into the business?
Yeah, so that was in 1990, and actually is what I didn't know a lot about whiskey other than some of the brands out there, the labels, and what whiskey and bourbon tastes like. To be quite honest with you, and it kind of started out as a for me, I was looking, I had a little farm there in Kentucky. And
Hmm.
I'm from Kentucky, grew up in Kentucky, spent my whole life there until about 8 years ago, and was thinking about becoming a catfish farmer.
Okay.
And, yeah, so was I had a little lake there on the property, and thought about raising catfish. And so I had a guy tell me that there was a distillery, a local distillery, a Jim Beam distillery, actually there in Boston, Kentucky, where one of the guys that was he was experimenting with spit stillage or
Okay.
slop. And his experiment basically was, spent stillage is great for livestock. Would it be okay? Would it make good fish food? And so that was his experiment. Well, that guy ended up being Booker No, and
Okay.
Oh.
so I met him, and to kind of pick his brain a little bit about where he was going with this catfish
Hmm.
food experiment. And in our conversation, he told me, he said, I need somebody to come down and feed these fish. He had 1,000 catfish fingerlings. And he had the maintenance guys there at the plant build a big cage to put these
Hmm.
fingerlings in and drop them down in a chill pond. And he said, I need for somebody to feed these fish. Would you do that for me this summer? And I thought, well, that sounds kind of interesting. Sure. I'll see what I can find out about, uh, raising catfish. And I'd go down every afternoon and feed those fish, and would talk with some of the guys there at the plant, and become somewhat familiar with the equipment, the
Hmm.
process, and what have you. And it just seemed like something pretty cool. It was a real laid back environment.
Hmm.
Everybody had boots and blue jeans and t-shirts, and it wasn't a real hectic pace. And
Hmm.
I found out later on, when you walk in a distillery, if everything's seems kind of calm and cool and laid back, then everything's running great. If people are up running around like chickens with their heads cut off, then things are not going so well. But it just seemed like a pretty cool environment.
Yeah.
And they were hiring that fall, the fall of 1990. And so I applied,
Hmm.
and that was the start of it.
So you started your career at Jim Beam, correct?
I did,
Okay.
yes.
Now, how did Milam and Green come into the picture?
Yeah, so fast forward 27 years, and Marcia Milam is our founder. She
Hmm.
originally founded the distillery in 2017, and they were having some issues with their pot still, and
Hmm.
so they called in a guy. Actually, they called Vendome, and Marcia, explained to him what was going on. And so the guy there at Vendome introduced her to another fellow who was Randy Allender, who was our maintenance manager at Beam. I worked with Randy, my whole career pretty much there at Beam. He was a maintenance manager, and that dude knows the process and the equipment like the back of his hand. So, he made the trip to Blanco to come down and work with Marcia and
Hmm.
Rick and uh, the crew here at the distillery, and to help them, with the issue they had going on. And at the time, the head distiller had an opportunity to go someplace else, do something different with another distillery actually. And
Yeah.
so Marcia was in need of a distiller, so she asked Randy, if he
Okay.
knew of anybody, and he said, I just might. And so that's where I come into the picture then.
Fantastic. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's
So,
just, kind of a matter of being in the right place at the right time. And,
Yeah.
I'd had a conversation with Randy about, possibly working with a small craft distillery, and he
Mhm.
remembered that conversation. So, yeah, that's how Marcia and I connected with one another.
so what were your early days in the whiskey industry? I know it was there at Beam, but what was that like for you?
Um, I started out in the rick houses rolling barrels. And that was about the first 10 months I was with Beam. That's what I did. And it was cold in the wintertime. There's no heat in those rick houses. And you just bundle up, man. You look like the Michelin man. You've got so many layers of clothes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kentucky can be pretty cold in the winter months. So it was cold, it was physical, it was dirty. But there again, it just goes back. I think a lot of times where you work and what you do boils down to the people that you work with. And it was just a really cool group of guys that I got to
Yeah.
work with. And so there was some knuckleheads in the bunch that wasn't so happy about seeing a female come into the picture. And there were very few females. I think there was maybe 4 or 5 other ladies
Okay.
that worked
Mhm.
there, in the warehouse department. But the majority of the guys were really good, and it was fun. It was something different, and so the early days there in the rick house, the barrel aspect of it, like I said, was pretty physical. There was days I would go home and, I'd be so tired I couldn't hardly pick my feet up to walk to the parking lot to the car. And I'd tell myself, good gosh, gal, you're crazy, to keep doing this. But at that time I was in my early 30s. I was in really good shape, and, thought I was going to live forever, and, and that I could do anything.
Yeah.
And so a few months after starting, then I moved down to the distillery, and that's where I started learning the operation, the process,
Mhm.
as far as operating the column stills, the granaries,
Yeah.
the mills, the mash cookers, going through fermentation and what have you. Yeah, fell in love with it.
Now,
Nice.
for those who don't know, um, you're what's known as a master distiller. So for people who don't know the production of liquor, what is a master distiller's job actually entail?
Well, that's changed.
Okay.
That's changed over the years. I think originally the master distiller was a person, and generally a guy.
Mhm.
Coming up
Mhm.
through, hell, from the beginning up through until the 90s or early 2000s. It was generally men that held those positions, but it was
Mhm.
generally somebody that who had been in the business for many years. They knew the process. They understood the process, the distilling side of it, distillation, and the
Mhm.
aging side of it, the grain, actually, all aspects of it. And it really wasn't, a school or anything that you went to learn to be. And there was just one person designated, as a master distiller for a whiskey brand. That's changed now. You've got folks now that, have come up through the business, and they have a chemistry degree or what have you. And they as well have learned, the process and what have you. But
Mhm.
there's a lot more females. You do see a lot more ladies, especially on the craft side of things. I think the
Mhm.
crafts whiskey uh, segment of spirits has just really pushed people to look outside the box in so many different ways. And
Yeah.
one of those being that, hey, these ladies, they know what they're doing. They can do
Of
this.
course.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
For sure. Well, how would you describe your philosophy when it comes to crafting whiskey?
Yeah, so I learned from what I call the old timers in the business.
Hmm.
The guys that trained me. Hell, they already had 20 some years in the business, and back then, it was a lot of hands on.
Hmm.
I mean, those guys talked about literally like getting down in those old wooden fermenters, those cypress wooden fermenters, and there's still a few of those around. I think Maker's Mark maybe has a few of those, and but they talked about getting down inside those fermenters and actually squeegeeing the beer
Hmm.
down to the
Wow.
discharge valve,
Wow.
so the pump could pick it up. So those are the guys that I learned from. So,
Hmm.
when I started at Beam, every couple of hours we had to make a trip up to the top of the still house, 4 stories up, to log temperatures, flows, pressures, what have you, and just check around, make sure that everything was okay. There were no leaks, and everything was running as it should.
Yeah.
Nowadays, a lot of the operation, it blows my mind at how the operation has changed over the last 25, 30 years as far as the automation side of
Yeah.
it. And but yeah, the old timers, that's who I learned from. So, my thing is about paying attention to the details,
Hmm.
doing the right thing at the right time and the right temperature.
Yeah.
And, just a lot of times, it's those little details that are overlooked. Inspect that grain when it comes in and make sure it's top notch grain.
Yeah.
Pull those samples, taste. I can remember the first time one of the guys brought a mash sample to me, and he said,
Hmm.
"Stick your finger down in it and taste of it." And I'm like, "No, I'm good." And he's like, "No, really, you need to taste this, so that you'll know what to taste for that is not good or bad or
Hmm.
what have you." And
Right.
so and that's a big part of it. In those early days, those folks instilled those kind of details into your training that you
Yeah.
went through. So you tasted everything from the grain coming in to the white dog going through the tail box.
Hmm. Now we know. Now you were talking about temperature. Climate also happens to affect whiskey a lot. Like, we have whiskey now that is produced throughout the entire country, and Milam and Green is proudly made in Blanco, Texas. How does the Texas climate influence the specifically flavor profile of Milam and Green whiskey?
Yeah, it has a big influence. It's an amazing influence, actually. I tell people, we're in a beautiful part of hill country here in
Hmm.
Blanco, Texas, right in between Austin and San Antonio. And I tell people all the time, there's magic in these hills. And it's that aging process. The heat here. Back home in Kentucky, you've got 4 seasons, four
Hmm.
very distinct seasons. Here, you have one and a half. You know,
Hmm.
you got warm weather all the time. It seems like, with the exception of a couple of 3 months, and
Yeah.
but that really pushes that alcohol, that new make up into the wood,
Hmm.
and a lot of action, a lot of movement going on
Yeah.
there. So it adds that boldness.
Hmm.
I found that out real quick, probably within the first 6 months or year that I was here, that it really influences the color really quickly, and it
Hmm.
influences that taste, and it just gives it a boldness to it. Like I said, a deeper color, a beautiful deep amber color to
No, I
it.
mean, if
So
you look at the bottle, I mean, look at that.
I
yeah,
mean, it's
yeah,
yeah,
That's
it's
gorgeous.
beautiful.
yeah. It absolutely, Cooper will tell you that 70% of everything that's in that bottle comes from the wood.
Hmm.
But, I'm a distiller, And so I'm going to split that with those dudes and say that half of it, is our yeast and our grains and our
Hmm.
water, and
Right.
what we do during fermentation, and our when we make our cuts on our distillation, and but at the same time too, the climate really uh, has a big influence. We call it texifying or texification. And
Mhm.
Nice.
so there's a lot to it, no doubt.
Well, is there a particular expression from Milam Green that you're especially proud of?
Yeah, Al, people ask me that all the time, and my favorite to drink out of our lineup, and we've got a small portfolio in comparison to a lot of distilleries.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite to drink is the unabridged,
Hmm.
just because we don't add anything to that. I mean, that whiskey comes right out of that barrel. We filter it lightly enough to get the char out of it, and that's it. It's mingled, batched together with several different ages. So
Hmm.
that's like thieving whiskey out of a barrel to me. And so I just love those unique raw taste that unabridged
Yeah.
Mhm.
offers. But one that I guess that I'm really proud of is our rye whiskey, uh,
Okay.
because that one is just it won. It's our most award-winning label that we've got,
Hmm.
and a lot of people will come into the tasting room here at the distillery and for a flight, and I hear people say, I'm not really a rye drinker. Have you got something else? And we're like, hey, just try it, give it a
Hmm.
shot. And more often than not, those folks will come back and say, that is really good. That's not what I expected from a rye
Mhm.
whiskey. So we finished that out in port wine barrels,
Hmm.
and so it was a double gold winner for us. Wine enthusiasts gave it 97 points. At the American Craft Spirits Association, it not only won best in its category, it won best in show, and so it's pretty amazing whiskey for us. Yeah.
Nice. Now, fast forward to last year. You had the distinct honor of being the first woman ever inducted into the Whiskey Magazine Hall of Fame. Uh, what did that moment mean to you specifically, especially as a woman in a male dominated industry?
Yeah, well, it really blew me away. If anybody had told me 30 years ago that would have happened, I'd have told them, hey, put the cork back in the bottle. You're drinking too much. And so it was quite a surprise. I mean, there was so many emotions going on. It was really a big surprise. It was an honor.
Yeah.
You got folks there like Steve Nally. Um, Elmer T. Lee, folks like that are just, those folks are icons in this business.
Hmm.
And so, but it was pretty cool. But it was not only cool for me. I've always, I'm a big sports advocate. I love basketball,
Hmm.
softball, hell, any kind of sport, basically. So I've always been a team player. And so to me, it meant a lot to me personally, but it meant a lot for Milam Greene,
Hmm.
for the whole team, because I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for the folks at Jim Beam, but I wouldn't be where I'm at now if it wasn't for the folks here at Milam Greene. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome.
so it was pretty cool. It was pretty amazing. Blew me away.
Yeah.
So, how have you seen the opportunities for women in whiskey evolve? I know you mentioned earlier about especially the craft, the smaller brands, but how have you seen it over time evolve?
Yeah, there was always ladies around. Like I said, when I started in 1990 there at Beam, there was a handful of ladies there working, but I can remember going to a safety meeting the first few months I was there at Beam, and there in the conference room there was a picture of the plant manager and his other managers, and there was probably 15 to 20 people in that photo. There was only one lady, and she was the accounting manager. There were no ladies in the operations as far as supervisors or even managers, back then. And you know I think the craft side really changed that. There's a lot of good distillers out there. Oh my gosh, I could name a dozen off the top of my head in the craft side that are just doing an amazing job. But I think a lot of times a lot of the women are just kind of quietly doing their thing. They're not loud and boastful about it, and they just kind of do what they know needs to be done. And but the craft side of it has certainly changed that. I never expected this role as master distiller when I come to Milam Greene. I come here to make whiskey, put whiskey in a barrel, and run a pot still, and be part of growing a brand. I never dreamed in a million years of being a master distiller. Just never thought about it.
Yeah. Now, if you wanted to give, now people are going to watch this and they're going to say, how do I get involved with the spirits industry, especially women? We're trying to shine the light on pretty male dominated industries, the cigar industry, the spirits industry. What would be a tidbit or a piece of advice you would give to a woman that's interested in entering the spirits industry?
Yeah, I would tell them to do some homework, do a little research, learn a little bit about the process, visit, take some tours of some distilleries. But, it's a great business to be in. It really is. It's unlike anything that I've done. And I've worked with a couple of larger corporations, Atlantic Richfield, United Parcel
Yeah.
Service, and it's unlike any other culture background that I have been involved with. But I would tell them, I would encourage them first of all to do so, because I do all the time. I had an 18-year-old back a few months ago that was getting ready to graduate high school, and she wants to be a distiller. And I told her, I said, maybe focus on some chemistry classes. You see more and more fermentation science degrees being offered at some of the university. Oregon, I think, was out front and center with that back many years ago. The University of Kentucky there back home. And go to work for a brewery. You got to make beer in order to make alcohol. So, you get your feet wet a little bit there, and, ask questions. When I started at Beam, I knew what whiskey tasted like. That's about all I knew about it, to be quite honest with you. So, I had a million questions, and I asked those questions, and, and took notes. I had a notebook that's probably 2 inches thick of notes that I took, the process and the equipment in particular there, for Beam. But just go for it, man. Hang in there, and don't let anybody tell you can't do it.
Now, I feel like the cigar industry is still kind of getting up to speed when it comes to females being employed in higher positions. Do you feel the spirits industry is becoming a little more recognizing of females in the industry at this point, more so than cigars?
Well, I'm not that familiar, with the background of cigars, to be honest with you, to say a lot about that. But I do know on on the spirit side of things, you see more and more women, climbing that ladder
Yeah.
and getting into those higher management positions. And,
Hmm.
I started at the bottom and just worked my way up, and I had that interest and that passion
Yeah.
to want to do that. And so that's a big part of it. But, there's, we've got a lot of females on our team here at Milam and Greene. Milam
Hmm.
and Greene both are two
Yep.
ladies, Marsha
Hmm.
Milam and Heather Green. And, we've got our tasting room manager, our marketing manager, Brenda Fisher, Blair Alt, our finance lady, director, Yelena. So, we've got in our bottling facility, we Heather and Lisa. So, there's a lot of ladies on the
Nice.
team here, and they love what they do, and
Hmm.
it's just a real kind of family oriented kind of environment.
Yeah.
And I think that makes women feel good when when folks are appreciative of their hard work and what they've done and their passion,
Hmm.
what they do. And so, there's opportunities there.
Great, great. Um, well, are we ready to taste a little bit of juice?
Well, let first, I have a couple quick questions. So it's going to be either choice A or choice B. Um, so to finish up our question portion before we get onto the tasting question, before we get onto the tasting portion, do you prefer bourbon or rye?
Bourbon,
Do you do it neat or with a splash of water?
neat.
And what is one bottle every whiskey lover should try in their life one time?
Oh, wow. Jeez. Boy, there's so many out there. That's a good question. The That one bottle,
That
wow.
one bottle.
Yeah. So, um, now that's hard, Rob, because we've got some pretty good whiskey. Miles and Green, man,
Of
has
course.
put out some really good whiskey. We had our Castle Hill series. That was some old
Hmm.
whiskey, 13, 14, 15-year-old whiskey that we put out that was just freaking amazing. We had our Founders Reserve back about 5 years ago. Hell, people still talk about that, but I don't know that there's any of that even still around on the planet. But that's a
Sure,
really tough
somebody's
one.
got it in a collection, I'm sure, somewhere.
Yeah. Um, that's really tough. I was just sitting at a bar one night and I kept eyeballing up on that top shelf an E.H. Taylor.
Hmm.
And
Mhm.
it was, I'm thinking it was an 18 or a 20-year-old. And the bartender kept noticing, me glancing up at that bottle. And I'm like, how much does a shot of that cost? And it was way more than I was going to pay for a shot of whiskey. But he knew
Right.
I was interested. He knew I was
Yeah.
interested. And I said, I've never tasted any E.H. Taylor before. Him and I was chatting and all. And
Hmm.
I tell you, that was some pretty good juice that night. And so, that might be one of them. But,
Okay.
that's, there's so many out there that one's hard. That's
All
a hard
right.
question to answer.
Well, Marlene, we want to thank you so much for humoring us and celebrating Women's History Month with an interview. Thank you so much for joining us. And now we're going to get to the good part of the night where we're
Yeah.
actually going to taste some whiskey. So, if you can explain a little bit about what we have on the table, and we would like for you to take it away and just kind of see what we got and lead us through a little tasting.
Yeah. So I've got my bottle here too. I don't know how well people might be able to see that.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, but that's the Milam Greene, uh, very small batch, and there's a really cool story behind this very small batch. At least every year or year and a half, we try to come out with a new expression. You know, we
Mm-hmm.
originally started out with three expressions 9 years ago, and we did away with a couple of them and introduced a couple of new ones. So this very small batch, we introduced it about a little over 2 years ago at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival,
Mm-hmm.
and we ran out. We had people coming to our tent there at the Bourbon Festival and asking for, we understand you've got a small batch over here that's really nice. We want to try. Well, we run out of that small batch on Saturday. Sunday, we had no small batch left. People raved about it. But the cool story behind this is that, like I said earlier, you know, we're a very small group here, very small boutique
Mm-hmm.
operation. I mean, there's like two handfuls of employees, so you
Mm-hmm.
know, very small. Some of the guys here at the distillery were always tinkering around with different wood chips and different flavorings and what have you. Well, Rick Monroe, who is our distillery manager, tinkered around a little bit. And remember a while ago we was talking about that rye whiskey finished out in the
Mm-hmm.
port wine
Mm-hmm.
cask.
Yeah.
Well, you know, this in the process of making whiskey, you recycle a lot of different things, and
Mm-hmm.
so Rick come up with the idea of taking those barrels, those port barrels, once we had dumped our rye whiskey out of it, and toasting the outside of the stave and dropping those staves down in a vat with two different whiskeys. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a Kentucky whiskey. It's our Kentucky whiskey. It's our mash bill, our sweet mash, our two different yeast strains that we use. So for those that don't know, I've got pot stills. You can see them behind me there.
Mm-hmm.
Got two big pot stills that we operate. We also go back to Kentucky and make whiskey with the guys there in Kentucky. So this is our Kentucky juice and with some Tennessee juice. But we
Okay.
took those port barrels and we broke those barrels down, toasted the outside of the stave, didn't do anything to the inside where that port wine had been in that rye whiskey, made a necklace out of those staves and just dropped them down in a vat.
Mm-hmm.
And generally it takes a month or 2 months. It just depends on, you know, what time of the year, how hot it is, as to
Mm-hmm.
how long, you know, we leave those staves down in the vat. And so, and that's how very small batch come about. And so the name very small batch, the first batch we put together to do was about, I think it was roughly, I can't remember exactly the number of barrels we had, but it was way more barrels than what our processing tanks could
Mm-hmm.
hold. So we had to cut that down into smaller batches. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, that's where the name very small batch come from. So instead of dumping 40 barrels at one time into the vat, we could only dump maybe 12 or 15 barrels. And so
Okay.
that's where the name very small batch come from. And so then the proof on it, the 108 proof on it, we
Mm-hmm.
proofed it down to several different proofs and just kept going back to that 108. That's where those flavors were that we like best. And, you know, to us, it has always been, it's been who we've been from the very beginning, is
Yeah.
that flavor that's inside that bottle. That's what's important to us. So, you know, you've got that Kentucky whiskey, you've got that Tennessee whiskey. We bring those barrels here to Texas, let them age out, finish aging out for 3 or 4 or 5 years here in this Texas heat. And then we dump them. We drop those French oak staves that have been toasted down in that vat and let it finish out. And, you know,
Mm-hmm.
people refer to it as a real flavor bomb. And
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, you get a lot of really nice baking spice notes off of it, some caramel, a little bit of nuttiness may happen there, some dried fruit notes that shine through on it as well. But this one is, I just love it. I do. And I love it in an espresso martini. It really
Mm.
enhances that espresso, the coffee side, and the flavor and all. So it's fabulous.
Yeah, you get a lot of fruit on the nose.
Yeah,
There's a lot of fruit on the nose. You definitely can smell the oakiness as well.
right. Yeah.
And
Well,
the
you know,
char is nice. You get that nice char smell too. It's not like I've opened some bottles and not been able to smell that char flavor. But even from here, I'm about, I would say, 12 inches from where my glass is, and I can smell that nice charred stave scent.
right. Yeah. We tinker around with that between a 3 and a 4 char. And so
Hmm.
and that makes a difference. Especially, once you bring it down here and let it sit in these hot rick houses and let it age for a few years down here, it'll really enhance that smokiness, that oakiness, that char
Yeah.
side of it. But to me, you pick up to some of that rye that was in there, a little bit of the spice that was in
Hmm.
there, a little bit of the sweetness that comes from that port, that
Yeah.
wine as well, and
That's where
it's
that
just
sweetness comes from. It's
yeah, it's just
fantastic.
layered. I mean, it's just layered, layered, layered with a lot of great flavors about it.
What do you like pairing your very small batch with?
I've had it. As a matter of fact, not too long ago, we had a pairing and we used short ribs
Okay.
uh, with a very small batch, and it was. I mean, those short ribs. I mean, they were pretty freaking amazing. But
Yeah.
it just paired up really nice um, with this very small batch. That would work well with it. I think any kind of meat, sausage wise, link,
Hmm.
brisket, anything along that line would stand up really really nice with this.
Now, so you can put this up against some really hearty food, correct? When you talk about a lot of the meat and a lot of like heavily cooked foods, um, that's usually some pretty strong flavors. And
Right. Yeah, and it enhances. Like I
mhm,
said, in an espresso martini, I had somebody ask me, they're like, "You put 108 proof in an espresso martini," and I'm like, "Yeah, I put it in there because of the flavors." Again,
mhm,
with us, it's about the flavors that it offers, and but I drink my whiskey more often than not, just neat
mhm,
as it is. I'll pour it, I'll let it set for a few minutes, let it open up a little bit.
mhm.
And I love to sip on it just as it is. I just enjoy all those different flavor notes that just explode in your mouth.
Now, would you call this? It's very. It doesn't have a very short finish, which is great. It's very velvety, so it doesn't have like a very like watery texture to it. It's really nice. Like when it goes on the palate, you have that flavor that kind of just like that creeps along and
Yeah,
coats the palate and stays there
yeah, yeah,
instead of that really short abrupt finish.
yeah.
I
I
feel
can
like
still feel it, in the
hmm
in the
Hmm.
back of my throat.
oh yeah.
I can still feel it there. So, but it's just kind of real subtle. It's
Hmm.
just a real nice little warm
Oh yeah.
that you have there that lingers on, and that's one of the great things about it is that mouthfeel that it offers. And
Yeah.
the one of the comments that we hear more often than not, and it's not only about this very small batch, but it's our other high proof whiskeys. Our wildlife series we have, that unabridged that we have, which is generally up 115, 120, 125 proof, is like,
Hmm.
wow, it doesn't go down, like what you would expect from that kind
Yeah.
of proof. So that's one of the cool things that I love about this 108. It's just real easy to sip on.
Yeah, it's in a nice range. When you
Yeah,
start getting north of like 120, 130, you start getting real hot, and
yeah,
then it just especially for non-experienced bourbon and whiskey drinkers. It doesn't go on the palate very
Right.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But
that's my wheelhouse in
yeah.
between that, like that 105, 115,
Hmm.
that range in there, and somewhere around a
Yeah.
6, 7, 8 year old whiskey, yeah, it's incredible.
Does Milam and Green, does the very small batch, does it get proofed down once it comes out of the barrels, or
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Was what we'll do. We, taste these barrels, make sure they're worthy and
Mhm.
ready. Ready is the key factor there. That they're ready to dump, and then we'll batch them together, and
Yeah,
it is a sample batch to start with,
yeah,
and then once we know, like, yeah, that's, this will fit the bill, this is what we're looking for, then we'll go ahead and drop those barrels and dump them, and then at that point is when we'll add the water to it to bring it
yeah.
down to 108. Yeah.
Now we're drinking currently batch three. So is very small batch for Milam and Green? Is it a yearly release, or is it kind of like whenever we're ready to go kind of a deal?
It's a core product, Rob.
Okay.
It's a core product, so it's always available. So we are constantly, based on sales,
Yeah.
POs coming in. Depend has something to do with when we schedule to bottle that. It
Hmm.
also has to do with inventory.
Of course.
What
Okay.
kind of inventory we've got,
Yeah.
and if those barrels are ready to be dumped. Again,
Yeah.
everything we do is by taste. Everything we do is by taste.
Now, are you already in production for batch four? Like at this point, now that batch three is on the shelves, distributed to purveyors around the country, are you currently producing batch four at the moment?
It will be a few more months, a couple of
Hmm.
more months down the road before, but we've already got a pretty good idea what
Okay.
barrels. We've
Hmm.
we've tested and tasted enough of these barrels that we know what we've got available in our inventory for
Yeah.
this next batch, and we've got a pretty hearty supply of it already bottled up. I mean, we bottle every day, and everything you see in that bottle, everything about that bottle is done by hand. Back to the small boutique
Yeah.
operation. It's those bottles are hand cleaned, hand filled, labeled, case, the whole nine
Yeah.
yards.
It's a
Yeah,
nice bottle too. It's a nice bottle too. I like
yeah,
it is not normally one of the tall, skinny bottles, but it's very nice in the hand.
yeah,
It's a great product. I'm so happy I was able to meet you at the tasting when you were in New Jersey with our whiskey club. It
yeah,
was it was pretty cool. Um, but we want to thank you for coming on, talking to our fans, talking to us, explaining to us about Very Small Batch. Is there anything else you would like to say to the world out there?
yeah. So, well, first of all, thanks to you two, Al and Rob, both of you, for having me on and chatting with me. Like I said, I love to drink whiskey and talk to people about who we are and what we do.
Yeah.
And look for us. Look for us, in the stores. Like I said, we're a very small boutique operation, and we're out there butting heads with the big guys. And
Hmm.
but one thing that we will always be, and always have, is you can be confident if you pick up a bottle of Milam and Green whiskey, it's going to be good quality whiskey. And that's just how we do things. There's a lot of experience on this team, and
Hmm.
that's who we are, and that's who we continue to be. But yeah, have fun with it. That
Hmm.
108. It is a little bit high proof to put in a cocktail, but tinker around with it a little bit, add a little bit of water or an ice cube to it, and have fun with your whiskey. And
Yep.
drink it the way you like to drink it, and share it with folks.
Always. Al, you have
That's for
anything
sure.
anything left over to say?
Um, well, I have to tell you. I'm normally a large cube or sphere on the rocks kind of guy. And this, even at 108 proof, is so smooth that, man, it's, I think I could sit here and drink it all night. And I better
Don't do
not.
that. Don't do
But,
that. Your wife's gonna hate me.
but again, thank you so much for carving out a little time to sit and
Yeah,
chat with us. Um,
absolutely.
and for all of our other folks, I hope you win the battles you tell no one about.
Yeah, good deal. And look, the invite's always there for you folks to come and visit us.
I
You
would
know,
love to come out to
yeah,
Uh,
Texas. I have friends. I have friends in Texas, and I when I come and visit, you better be sure that you guys are going to be on my list of places to visit.
cool.
So,
Well, Saturdays is always rocking here at the
all
distillery. We
right,
got generally always live music and a food truck or some kind of food around. But it's
awesome.
always the spirits are very high on Saturdays for sure. So come visit us anytime.
Thank you so
thank you
much,
very
Marlene.
much.
We will
You're
talk
welcome.
to you soon.
Cool, good deal. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thanks.